Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video I'll show you how I crochet this shopper. From now on I have decided to focus only on creating processes in tutorials without any additional details. I will post another short video in which I'll tell you everything about the information that was needed for this bag. If you want to see all the information about the details that were needed for this shopper, click on the link in the description. And now let's begin the crocheting. I am using a 4.5 hook for this work. To make the foundation chain loops, I am using beige yarn and making 85 chain loops. If you want a different number of loops, it should be number divided by 3 plus 1. Done. Now I'll crochet the first row. The pattern for this bag is simple. It's single crochet by back and forth crocheting. For the first row I'll crochet into the back bump of chains. I'll skip the first one and insert the hook into the second one and make the first single crochet. Then comes the second crochet. And now I insert the hook into the third chain, pick up the beige yarn, but I will close the top of the loop with the second color. We introduce a new thread into work. Now, the next two chains we need to crochet with the new gray color. And we need to hide the ends and the inactive beige yarn inside the loops in the process. During such crocheting, we need to tighten up and correct yarns all the time to get the perfect result. So I crochet the second loop and then I'm inserting the hook into the third chain. Pick up the working gray yarn and leave it aside. Then I am closing the top of the loop with another color. So, in my case, to get a checkered pattern, I will alternate colors with each other in every 3 loops. Well, the beige color is active now again, so I'll crochet the first 2 chains with it and then change the color in the third chain in the way that was shown earlier. Continue crocheting in this way until the end of the row, which means we need to crochet the first 2 chains with one color, then close the top of the third loop with another color. And don't forget to tighten up the yarn and adjust loops in the process. I got to the end of the first row. Now we'll crochet the second row, and the second row is crocheted likewise the first. It means we need to crochet beige loops under the beige loops and gray loops under the gray loops from the previous row. Look, I finished the first row with gray color, so I am making turning chain with this color and turning around the crocheting. The beige yarn will be inside loops like that. So let's start crocheting the second row. I am inserting my hook into the first loop and I'm making a single crochet. Then comes the second loop with the same color, and then in the third loop we will change the color as usual. The most unpleasant moment in such two-color crocheting is that yarns from the skein will intertwine. Therefore, during the crocheting, we'll unravel the yarns from skeins. Now continue crocheting by the pattern until the end of the second row. I finished the second row and I got a total 28 of these little squares. It turns out that 2 rows make up one pattern of the checkered diagram. Now in the third row we need to change the location of colors relative to the previous row and crochet the pattern in a checkerboard pattern. I finished the second row with beige color, so I need to start crocheting with gray color. That's why I am making a turning chain with gray color and turning around the crocheting. I think the idea is already clear, so let's continue crocheting single crochets by changing the color every 3 loops until the end of the row. The third row is finished, so let's continue crocheting the fourth row. In the fourth row, we'll keep the pattern of the third row, placing beige loops under the beige loops and gray loops under the gray color. So let's continue. Well, our checkerboard pattern is obtained by alternating these 4 rows, the first with the second and the third with the fourth rows. So continue crocheting by keeping this pattern until you reach the needed size of a simple rectangle. Look what I achieved this time. It's a big simple rectangle with a width of 52 centimeters and a height of 29 centimeters. I crocheted 42 rows, or if I count these little squares in total, I have 21 squares. In the last 42nd row, I left 9 loops or 3 squares not crocheted to the end. Now I'm making a turning chain and turning around and continue crocheting by the pattern, leaving 9 loops in the end not crocheted too. Look, in the next row I need to change color, so I'm making a turning chain with beige color and continue crocheting. Here my 9 loops in the end, and now I am making a turning chain and turning around. In this row I need to keep colors by pattern, so I made a turning chain with this gray color. I am currently crocheting this shortened part, which consists of 12 rows or 6 squares. I am done. This part will serve as the bottom of the bag. Now I need to go back to my 9 loops in the beginning and the 9 loops at the end of the part. To do this, I'll make 10 chain loops with beige color, one of which will serve as a turning chain. Since the last square is gray, I need to place beige color under it. That's why I will start crocheting the first 3 chains with the gray color. However, it's also possible to make these 10 chain stitches with the gray color. I am crocheting into the back bump of the chains, and it's important to hide the inactive thread inside loops during the process. I am currently crocheting the last 9th chain by changing color, so the next color by the pattern will be beige. I have reached the end of the row, and now I need to add 9 loops as we did in the beginning. To do this, I'll make chain 10 and turn around the crocheting. I am placing the gray skein there since this row is the right side of the bag. This row will be crocheted while keeping the pattern from the previous row without changing it. This means placing gray loops under the gray loops from the previous row, and the same way for the beige color. That's why the first 3 loops go in the beige color. After that, alternate colors according to the pattern and crochet until the end. As I have finished one pattern, I still need to crochet 40 more rows or 20 squares, just like we crocheted in the beginning. The crocheting process is now complete and it's done in one big part. We started crocheting 21 squares, then at the bottom we crocheted 6 squares and finished symmetrically with 21 squares again. However, there is one point. I crocheted without breaking the thread, so to shorten 9 loops on both sides I simply stopped crocheting until the end. As a result, my row is not complete on both sides, and we get a chest pattern from paired rows. Therefore, I will add this one row on both sides before sewing the parts. Otherwise, I believe such asymmetry will affect the final result and we may end up with slanted sides. Now we'll start sewing the sides of our part. In most cases I leave a long tail after crocheting and knitting for sewing details. However, in this tutorial I cut off the working yarns and hide the ends because we'll start sewing from below. The detail is now ready for steaming. Please steam it well and leave it to fully dry. Now, as you can see, both sides are sewn together and it's only left to sew the handles onto the bag and the full process will be complete. But first, I want to add our missing row. As I have already mentioned, on both sides one row is not enough for complete symmetry in crocheting. Take the hook and join the yarn like this. We need to crochet by pattern. Well, I need to start from beige color, so I'm inserting the hook near the loop like this and picking up the loop. Make 3 single crochets in the way we use for crocheting the pattern. Then add the second yarn like this. I will hide the short ends later, but the inactive working yarn will be inside the loops. Look, the row is crocheted and now we have a completely chessboard pattern. Before starting, you should be sure that you have hidden all ends on the purl side. Also, I burned the ends with a lighter. So let's start sewing. I recommend that you put markers or contrasting threads in several places. It helps to avoid mistakes and remakes since we'll connect one row on one side with a relative row on the other side specularly. Now we leave about a meter of both yarns for sewing. First, we need to form the bottom of the bag. As you remember, we crocheted 6 squares for the bottom, and this part will be joined with the part with 9 loops. To do this, bend the edges on both sides and sew them to the bottom. There are 12 rows in the bottom and 18 loops on both edges. Therefore, we sew from the bottom without bothering with the quantity. We will start from the corner, so pull out the thread through the loops like this. I lay the part in such a way that the lower top of loops overlaps with the bottom. I have only 6 pair rows at the bottom, therefore we must sew one part exactly to the middle. Thus, one part is sewn to the 3 squares and the other side of the part is also sewn to the 3 squares of the bottom. So, let's begin. At first I need to pull out the thread to the right side. Pay attention to where I insert the needle. I insert the needle at the bottom, not over the edge. I will use one loop so our seam will be stronger. Then I'm inserting the needle into both sides of the loop like this. And returning the needle where it was coming out. Tighten the thread well. I am showing again that there are 6 squares at the bottom, so 1/2 part will be sewn to the middle. Go down one row and insert the needle, then use both sides of the loop. After that, return the needle to the first hole. We will sew the bottom in this way till the end. Then go on the other side and continue sewing in the same way. Here I also sewed the beginning of the second part to the middle, since the edges of both parts will have to be sewn to the middle. Done. Now we start sewing the side edges of the part. I will still use this beige thread, so I bring it out through the loops to the middle of the part. I'm telling you again, please mark the rows. If you made a mistake, the sides will be slanted in the end. So let's continue sewing the sides of the part. There are 2 threads for sewing, and I will use both of them. And we need 2 needles with a white eye. This seam method is usually used by leather craftsmen, and this seam is called saddle stitch. Here we also insert the needle not over the very edge. We will use 1 loop. There is one moment. For this saddle stitch, my 2 needles must be placed on both sides of the crocheting detail on one level. So I am making the needle with gray thread and I place it on the opposite side to the beige thread, like this. Well, holding 2 threads on both sides of the part is the right position for beginning this stitch. So let's start. This is the scheme of the saddle stitch on the screen. So I am taking the right needle and going up 1 row, inserting the needle and pulling it out from the other side, and then tightening the thread. Then I am taking the left needle, inserting it into the same row but from opposite side and pulling it out too. Now tighten the 2 threads well together. Then go up 1 row again and repeat the process. Sew like this until the end. Look, I have sewn all rows, and in the last row, repeat the process 2 more times for reliability. After that, you can pull out the ends on the purl side, cut off the ends and hide them well. Well, one side is ready. Now I will show the second side, and on this side, to get a checkerboard pattern, I will add a row from the purl side. Insert the hook into the threading chain from the previous row and pick up the loop. Then crochet 9 loops by pattern. Here I will also hide short ends later, but the beige color from the skein will be inside loops. Done. The whole sewing process I won't show again. Repeat sewing as we did for the first side. And don't forget to hide the ends before starting sewing. Look, I have sewn both sides. There are long tails left after sewing, and I thought that I should pass over them through the last row to further straighten the top of the bag. Now we can steam the bag again. Look, this is the result of my work, and the last step is to sew the handles. As I said, in the width we have 28 squares, so I put markers for handles by remaining 4 squares in the middle and 12 squares on both sides. Then I lay handles down 5 squares below. Well, I took 60 centimeters artificial leather handles for tote bags. The color is beige and I don't have thread in tan, so I undid the beige cord and wound some thread on the spool. I will also sew with a saddle stitch using 2 needles. It was not possible to show the whole process since it was not convenient on the table. I sewed the handles on my knees. Another point, from the wrong side, try to make the seam as invisible as possible. Since this model turned out to be just a beauty from the wrong side, I decided to leave it without lining. Take approximately 50 centimeters for one part. I sewed it by repeating the process 2 times for solidity, and after finishing I fixed the thread ends well. Dear friends, here's the finished result. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you liked the video, click the like button and subscribe to my channel. The most interesting and stylish products will come out here. Thanks for watching and see you soon!